Ever thought of finding your significant other in the most unlikely places, like, say, the supermarket aisle? Let's delve into this scenario. Picture this. You're pushing your cart down the aisle, browsing through the endless selection of chips and dip. You glance up and there they are, someone who catches your eye. You're drawn to them, not just because they're reaching for your favorite salsa, but there's a certain spark, a magnetic pull, if you will. But let's take a step back and think about this. Is a supermarket the best place to find your potential significant other? It's a place where everyone's main focus is on shopping, procuring their week's groceries, or grabbing that last-minute ingredient for tonight's dinner. It's not exactly a socializing hotspot. And let's not forget the potential awkwardness of the situation. Imagine trying to strike up a conversation about the merits of organic tomatoes versus conventional ones while people are bustling around trying to maneuver their carts around you. Not the most conducive environment for a meaningful conversation, is it? Furthermore, what if they're in a rush? Or worse, what if they're just not in the mood to entertain a stranger's advances while they're debating between whole grain or gluten-free bread? The supermarket isn't a bar or a social event where people are more open to meeting new people. It's a place of purpose, a place where people are focused on tasks, not making connections. And let's be real, the supermarket can be a stressful place. Maybe they've had a long day at work and just want to grab their groceries and head home. The last thing they want is someone interrupting their shopping trip with a flirty comment about their choice of cereal. So while the supermarket is filled with potential ingredients for a delicious meal, potential deals on your favorite products, it might not be the best place to find your soulmate. There's a time and a place for everything, and finding love in the supermarket aisle, well, that seems like a long shot. So, the supermarket, while filled with potential, might not be the best place to find your soulmate. Next on our list is the gym. Ever thought of finding love between the dumbbells and treadmills? Now, this might seem like a great idea at first glance. After all, the gym is a place where people are motivated, focused, and dedicated. But let's break down why it might not be the best place to find your potential significant other. Firstly, the gym is a place where people go to work on themselves. They're there to sweat, to push their limits, and to focus on their personal fitness goals. It's a personal journey, and often a very intense one. The last thing someone wants when they're in the middle of a challenging workout is to be disrupted or distracted. Trying to strike up a conversation or make a connection in this environment can be seen as invasive, and it's unlikely to be appreciated or reciprocated. Secondly, gyms are not exactly the most romantic of settings. Let's be honest, there's a lot of sweat involved, and it's not the kind of sweat that makes you glow. It's the kind that drips off your nose, soaks into your clothes, and makes you wish you brought a second towel. It's not exactly the setting where you'd want to make a first impression. Moreover, the gym is a place where people often feel vulnerable. They're pushing their bodies, working on their insecurities, and trying to improve themselves. It's a space where people need to feel safe and unjudged, not a place where they might feel objectified or hit on. And lastly, gym goers are often there on a schedule. They have a routine, a plan, and they're there to get in, get out, and get on with their day. Trying to initiate a romantic connection might just disrupt that routine and be more of an annoyance than a pleasant surprise. So, while the gym might seem like a good place to meet people, it's probably not the best place to find a potential significant other. Finding love at the gym, maybe not the best idea. Let's move on to a quieter place, the library. Ever thought of finding love among the bookshelves? It may seem like a scene out of a romantic novel, but let's break it down. The library is a sanctuary of silence, a haven for those seeking knowledge or simply a quiet place to read. Everyone is engrossed in their own world, their heads buried in books or their eyes glued to the screens of their laptops. The air is filled with the rustling of pages and the soft tapping of keys, creating a symphony of quiet productivity. Now imagine trying to strike up a conversation in this setting. You'd be like a bull in a china shop, disrupting the peaceful atmosphere with your attempts at flirtation. Your whispers might echo louder than you think, drawing disapproving glances from those around you. You see, in a library, silence is not just golden, it's a rule. Then there's the question of approach. How do you approach someone in a library without seeming intrusive or desperate? Do you use a cheesy pickup line about a book they're reading? Or do you clumsily drop a stack of books near them, hoping they'll help you pick them up and a conversation will ensue? It's a tricky situation to navigate without coming off as awkward or creepy. Moreover, people in a library are often there with a purpose. They're studying for exams, working on assignments, or immersing themselves in a gripping novel. Interrupting someone's focus for a potential romance might not be appreciated. So, while the idea of finding love in a library may seem appealing, especially if you're a bookworm, the reality is far from ideal. The quiet nature of the library and the focus on studying or reading makes it an unlikely place to find a significant other. The library, while a place of knowledge, might not be the best place to find love. Ever thought of finding your significant other on your daily commute? You know, you're just minding your business on the subway, bus, or train when suddenly you lock eyes with someone across the aisle. Sounds like a scene from a romance movie, right? But let's hit the brakes and think about this for a second. Our daily commute, whether it's to work, school, or even a quick trip to the grocery store, is typically not the most romantic setting. It's often a hurried and stressful time, with people more focused on reaching their destinations than making meaningful connections. You're more likely to see people with headphones in, eyes glued to their phones, or simply dozing off after a long day. Not exactly an environment ripe for blooming romance. Then there's the matter of space, or rather, the lack of it. Public transportation can get pretty cramped, especially during peak hours. Trying to strike up a conversation in such a setting might not only be difficult, but could also be seen as an intrusion of personal space. And let's not forget the potential awkwardness of approaching someone in a moving vehicle. One sudden stop, and you could find yourself in an embarrassing situation. And even if you do manage to break the ice, there's the inevitable question of what next? Do you ask for their number right there and then? Or do you wait for the next time you coincidentally bump into each other on the 8:15 train? It's a delicate dance that could potentially lead to more awkward encounters than meaningful relationships. So while it's not entirely impossible to find love on the go, it's certainly not the most likely place. It's a setting filled with distractions, time constraints, and a whole lot of unpredictability. So maybe, just maybe, it's better to keep your daily commute as just that, a commute. So your daily commute might not be the ideal place to find love. But hey, who are we to say where Cupid's arrow might strike next? And finally, the most unlikely place of all, the workplace. Ever thought of finding love at your job? This is where we spend a significant chunk of our waking hours, right? It's an environment where we're constantly interacting with others, so it might seem like a plausible place to find a potential partner. But hold that thought. The workplace is an arena meant for professional growth and collaboration, not a playground for romantic pursuits. The reason it's an unlikely place to find love is due to the professional boundaries we're expected to maintain. Falling for a colleague can blur these boundaries, leading to potential complications. Imagine the awkwardness of running into your ex at the coffee machine every morning, or worse, having a disagreement over a project. Moreover, the workplace is a dynamic environment. People come and go, roles change, and so do relationships. Today's love interest could be tomorrow's competitor. It's a risky business, to say the least. And let's not forget the ethical concerns. Many organizations have strict policies against office romances, and for good reason. They can affect productivity, team dynamics, and even lead to allegations of favoritism or harassment. Mixing personal and professional life isn't ideal. It's like mixing oil and water. They simply don't blend well. Your job is meant to fuel your career, not your love life. Finding love at work sounds complicated, doesn't it? And that's because it usually is. So tread lightly, folks. So there you have it, the top 5 most unlikely places to find your significant other. From the supermarket encounter to the professional love, we've seen how these unlikely and somewhat unromantic situations can be quite the surprise. But remember, it's these unexpected moments that often make the best stories, even though they're not the ideal places to look for love. Remember, love often finds us when we least expect it. Don't forget to subscribe, follow, like, comment, and share this video. Until next time.